My father had a penchant for intriguing tidbits. Every Sunday over lunch, he'd regale us with a mix of them, challenging us to discern fact from fiction. Surprisingly, the most far-fetched ones often turned out to be accurate. One of his top picks was Neil Armstrong's famous lunar quote. While most recall him saying, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind," he was supposed to articulate, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Armstrong, in discussions with biographer James Hansen, asserted that he did, in fact, include the A. Yet, the world remembers it a tad differently. In line with my father's Sunday lunch trivia, here are 10 nuggets of information that may seem utterly false, but are, in reality, undeniably accurate. 1. Humans stepped on the moon before they decided suitcases needed wheels. Astonishingly, while Neil Armstrong was leaving his footprint on the moon on July 20, 1969, suitcases were yet to leave a track on Earth. The first patent for wheeled luggage was only granted in 1972. The 1960s were marked by space explorations and a race between the US and USSR for celestial dominance. But peeling back the layers of that era, we find cues hinting why rolling suitcases didn't exist. Traveling was a luxury reserved for the affluent, with regular excursions a rarity. The essence of journeying had a touch of elegance, and those privileged enough to traverse often had porters to lug their belongings. However, with the rise of accessible air travel in the 1970s, the evolution of suitcases with wheels came into play. Indeed, necessity often births innovation. 2. The UK didn't eliminate beheading until 1973, while France's last guillotine execution was in 1977. Remarkably, even though capital punishment was officially outlawed in the UK in 1998 and unofficially since 1969, its eradication occurred in phases. The final instances of hangings as a form of capital punishment were in 1968. Nonetheless, a select group of crimes, like espionage and treason, still carried the possibility of a death sentence. Beheading as a punishment for treason was removed in 1973. Yet, hanging persisted as a potential penalty until 1998. It was during this year that an amendment to the Crime and Disorder Act 1998, by the House of Lords fully abolished the death penalty for treason, offering instead the potential sentence of life imprisonment. Meanwhile, in September 1977, France witnessed its last use of the guillotine. Hamida Jandoubi met this fate after being convicted of murdering his partner. 3. Harry Potter has made its way into the realm of ancient Greek. The magic of Harry Potter has transcended languages, with the series being interpreted in 60 tongues across the globe, and remarkably, one of those is ancient Greek. In 2001, the Daily Telegraph broadcasted the news of an impending Latin rendition of the debut Harry Potter tale, masterminded by Peter Needham. Yet, in a bid to top this, Andrew Wilson, a classics aficionado from Bedford, England, ventured to craft an ancient Greek iteration by 2004. His mission was to construct a version that would resonate with a Greek individual from any point leading up to the 4th century AD. Elaborating on his endeavor, Wilson remarked, "This specific form of the language hasn't graced the written word in approximately 1,500 years. I'm quite convinced this is the most expansive composition in this dialect since then." 4. Maine sits as the nearest US state to Africa. Baffling, right? Considering its position up north, it's counterintuitive. While many might bet on Florida due to its southeastern projection into the Atlantic, Maine actually wins by nearly a 1,000-mile margin. Lubec, Maine, boasts the easternmost sliver of the continuous U.S., a point known as West Quoddy Head. With just about 3,154 miles separating it from El Bedouza in Morocco, West Quoddy Head claims the distinction of being the U.S. point in closest proximity to Africa. 5. Jackson Gills served as measurement markers. In the times preceding the metric system's adoption in Great Britain, the typical measurement for spirits in a pub was known as a gill or gill. A jack represented half of a gill, equating to an eighth of a pint. Puzzled? It's no surprise that many were, leading to the inception of the metric system in 1965. On a side note, did you realize that a mere trio of countries haven't transitioned to the metric system? Those being Liberia, Myanmar, and the United States. 6. A specific shark species has a lifespan nearing half a millennium. Hold on to your fishing rods. As per Science Daily, Greenland sharks boast lifespans that stretch to an impressive 400 years, only achieving sexual maturity when they hit approximately 150 years. Studies indicate an average life expectancy of 272 years for these creatures. Yet, the two most substantial sharks examined in the research were approximated to be around 335 and 392 years respectively. Given these findings, the Greenland shark claims the title for the most ancient vertebrate currently inhabiting our planet. Astonishing! 7. Pineapples once held such value, they were leased as lavish centerpieces. While the modern-day discourse debates if pineapples are suitable pizza toppings, back in the day, the prized spot for a pineapple was within the household. During the 1700s in the American colonies, pineapples, sourced from the Caribbean, came with a hefty price tag. Believe it or not, a single pineapple could set someone back an equivalent of $8,000 in contemporary currency. Mind-blowing. This exotic fruit became a coveted luxury among the less affluent, leading candy shops and pineapple vendors to introduce a pineapple rental service. Post-display, the showcased fruit was then peddled to the wealthy, who could splurge to consume it. Fast forward to the present, the iconic pineapple silhouette graces various home decor items, from lighting fixtures and trinkets to contemporary wall designs. Nowadays, the pineapple is more than just a fruit in regions like New England and several southern states, symbolizing warmth and hospitality. Newport, Rhode Island, notably, adopts the pineapple as its emblem, celebrating hospitality since the mid-1600s. 8. The temporal gap between Stegosaurus and T. rex is greater than the gap between T. rex and modern humans. Stegosaurus made its mark approximately 150 million years ago during the Jurassic era. By the time the Cretaceous period dawned and brought with it creatures like Tyrannosaurus rex, the Stegosaurus had already been absent from the Earth for a staggering 80 million years, as cited by the U.S. Geological Survey. In essence, while the Stegosaurus and T. rex were 80 million years apart, a span of 67 million years exists between T. rex and today's humans. 9. Giraffes sometimes consume bones. The towering giraffe, usually recognized for its herbivorous diet, typically munches on leaves and branches from trees like acacia, mimosa, and wild apricot. However, it's not unusual to spot them gnawing on bones from deceased creatures in the wilderness. This behavior arises when giraffes face a deficiency in their regular nutritional intake. When essential minerals like calcium and phosphorus are scarce, they resort to bones as a supplementary source. They utilize their tongues to maneuver the bones in their mouths, sucking and gnawing to extract the nutrients. This peculiar act is termed osteophagy, which translates to bone eating. Once the giraffes extract the necessary minerals, they discard the bones rather than ingest them. Theoretically, this suggests you could toss bones for a giraffe as you would for a dog, though such antics might raise eyebrows at your local park. But as the saying goes, there will always be critics. 10. The founding of Oxford University predates the establishment of the Aztec Empire. Sometimes, it's challenging to juxtapose historical events that occurred in diverse corners of the globe. For context, the final usage of the guillotine coincided with the premiere of Star Wars. The Aztec Empire was established in 1428, while Oxford University traces its roots back to 1096. Remarkably, even with its ancient origin, Oxford doesn't hold the title of the world's oldest university. That honor might go to India's Nalanda University, which not only functioned for centuries but also suffered destruction by invaders long before Oxford's emergence as an educational institution.